Today we're at North Buxton Cemetery, and we're going to be talking to Brian Prince, who has some history about this wonderful cemetery that we get to look at today. Brian, when was this cemetery established?
This was began in the late 1850s. The Buxton settlement itself started in 1849, and so it's 9,000 acres. It's a huge area. So South Buxton is where it was sort of the heart at the beginning, and so there was a Presbyterian church, a Methodist church, and a Baptist church up there, and then this becomes a Methodist church down at this end of the settlement.
As we're walking through the cemetery, we come to this beautiful monument here. Maybe explain a little what this is about.
Okay, this is the grave of a woman named Eliza Parker. She and her husband William, as well as her sister and her sister's husband, were runaways from Maryland. They come to the Free State of Pennsylvania and settle there, and they help other slaves who are escaping. One such group came to their home. The master finds out they're there. He brings the deputy sheriff and some others as a posse to try to retrieve his slaves. The Parkers and the Johnsons and the Pinckneys, that was their names, fought against it. They organized neighbors to come and hold off this posse from taking these slaves. It turns very violent. The master is killed. His son is wounded. So Parker and the other two men, who were the sort of the leaders, are forced to flee. So they come here to Canada. And now Eliza is very much a part of what's going on. As the posse is coming, she goes up into the window of the upper floor of her house and blows a horn to alert the neighbors what is happening. So that is what draws the people there. She was a strong, tough woman. The men have escaped to Canada. Unfortunately, the women and the children couldn't get away that quickly, and Eliza was arrested. Unfortunately, she was freed very soon thereafter. But one of the saddest stories of it is her mother was an elderly slave woman. She had been given freedom because she was sort of past her usefulness as a slave. And so after this event called the Christiana Riot, Christiana, Pennsylvania, the mother is taken back in, and there are some newspaper articles that'll just break your heart about her being returned to slavery, sort of as a punishment for her daughters and her sons-in-law's actions.
So Brian, there might be some people around the Buxton area, and they may not necessarily have ties here that they know of, but if someone wanted to be laid to rest here and buried, would they be able to do that?
Sure, we would welcome anyone. I don't know if I've been asked that before. It seems every one that I know of has some sort of attachment to Buxton. Even though it might be a couple of generations away, maybe their grandparents lived here and they didn't, but they're still drawn back here.
So walking around here, you've brought us to this particular gravestone, and there's a story, I'm assuming, about this.
Well, one of my passions is this researching the Civil War, and you think of these people who have fled from slavery, come to free land in Canada, established themselves, but they've never forgotten what slavery was. So when the opportunity comes to fight in the Civil War, 70 men from Buxton returned to fight. And so this is one of them. This William Hooper, he was in Company H of the 14th United States Colored Infantry. There were segregated units. There's a white man in Ohio who is drafted and doesn't wish to fight. So he, as many other people did who could afford it, they hired, or they gave a bounty for a replacement. So William Hooper replaces this white soldier or white man in Ohio. And after the Civil War is over, he returns, he marries, raises his family, and I'm one of his descendants. He's my great-great-grandfather.
In between this beautiful chapel and the hall that we find ourselves this really nice memorial garden. And here people can sit on some of the few benches here and reflect and take some time to really pay respects to the vast history that can be found on these grounds.